Today is day one of a 5-day discussion leading up to Independence Day weekend this weekend. And I want to start with the fact that almost nobody knows what actually happened on July 4th, 1776, including most of the people who are going to set off fireworks this weekend for it. And here's what actually happened. The push for American independence was put on the floor of the Second Continental Congress by a man named Richard Henry Lee of Virginia on June 7th, 1776. That motion is called the Lee Resolution. It said, in plain language, that the colonies are and ought to be free and independent states. That motion sat for almost a month while the colonies argued about it, and while the delegates wrote home to their state legislatures for instructions. Then, on July 2nd, 1776, the Continental Congress voted on the Lee Resolution. 12 colonies voted yes, and New York abstained because they hadn't gotten word back from their home yet. The vote passed. That was the moment that the colonies actually declared themselves independent of Great Britain, July 2nd, not July 4th. John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail the very next day, July 3rd, 1776, and in that letter he depicted that July 2nd would be celebrated by Americans forever. His exact words were, the second day of July, 1776, will be the most memorable epocha in the history of America. Now, epocha is just an old word that meant a key moment in time. He went on to say that it would be celebrated by parades, fireworks, bells, bonfires, and games from one end of the continent to the other, from this time forward, forevermore. And he nailed his prediction. He just got the date wrong by 2 days. So why do we celebrate on July 4th instead of July 2nd? Because July 4th is the day the Continental Congress finished the wording and adopted the actual text of the document that we call the Declaration of Independence. The vote happened on July 2nd. The document we put on the wall got the final wording on July 4th. The signing didn't happen on July 4th either. The declaration was sent out to the printer and grossed onto a single sheet of parchment over the next several weeks. And most delegates didn't actually sign the parchment copy until August 2nd, 1776. Some of them signed even later than that. And the painting you've seen of a room full of men with their hands on the parchment all signing it together on July 4th, that didn't happen. Nothing like that happened. It was a romantic scene for a painting. When I started digging into what actually happened in the summer of 1776, I was a little bit disappointed at first. I had pictured in my head the painting that was simpler. But then I kept writing, and what actually happened is way more interesting than the painting. History usually is that way. It wasn't a moment. It was a long argument between 13 colonies with deep disagreements about whether to take this step even at all. It was a vote that took weeks. It was a document that got hammered out by a committee of 5, edited by Congress, then re-edited again. It was a parchment that traveled to a printer and a signing process that took months. And the man who would be the second president of the United States, he got the date wrong when he wrote to his wife the next morning. History is a lot messier than that painting that you've seen, but it's also better than that painting in a lot of ways. We're going to spend the rest of this week looking at it. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the Declaration and what it actually says. Most Americans have never read it. Wednesday, we're going to talk about a man named Caesar Rodney, whose name almost nobody knows, and what he did in a thunderstorm to make the vote happen on July 2nd. Thursday, the actual cost of independence over the 8 years that followed the signing. Friday, a question Benjamin Franklin was asked when the work was done, and what his answer means for us right now. So for today, do one thing. Go online, pull up the Declaration of Independence. You can find it free in the National Archives website. Read it. Read it from beginning to end, all the way through. It's shorter than you think. It'll probably take you like 10 minutes. Adults you're going to talk to this weekend or over the 4th of July, they can't tell you what it actually says, but you'll be able to. That alone will change how you stand at a flagpole on the 4th. Have a great day, and I'll see you here tomorrow.